Hello, it's your financial friend Maggie. Welcome to the Inside Out Money podcast.
Okay.
Hey, Liz. Hey, Liz.
Hey, Maggie. Hi.
I feel like we haven't recorded just you and me in a while, or is that just...
Yeah, that feels right.
Maybe it was just like the holidays. We've recorded once since then, maybe, if at all. I don't know. It just feels like it's been a while.
Right. And then we did all the fun episodes with everybody.
We've had some group,
nice.
Yeah, but it's different, you know.
I like these VIP only episodes that you and I do together.
It's hard to give each other the right level of attention when everybody else is there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to focus.
I know. I only want to look into your eyes, not...
And in reality, I don't even look into your eyes because I have to look at the screen.
Right.
You know, I either look into the camera or look into your eyes, and then it looks like I'm looking sideways.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a doozy of a topic today.
We were just talking about how we were not going to get too far on tangents. So we're going to focus.
We're going to focus. First, we're going to focus on welcoming you to the podcast.
Welcome and bienvenue.
Welcome to Inside Out Money. we gotta get on someone. We got any listeners that are musical?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not, in case you couldn't tell.
I'm not either. I have enthusiasm, but no talent.
We could get a little jingle like, welcome to Inside Out Money, a personal finance podcast focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. Out. Every week. It's going to be like bebop, like jazz. What's that like skit oh God, jazz?
Don't even.
I can't even say it right. Is
it's
it like
not for you, Maggie.
It's like skedazzled? No, it's not that. Bedazzled? Skit scat? What is it called?
I'm not even going to tell you because you
better tell me or we're going to be here all day.
Each week, Maggie speaks with a rotating set of co-hosts about a different financial topic to help you improve your financial mindset and tactics. And today we've got Liz. That's me.
That is you. Wait, is it bebop? Bebop, ba-doo, bop-poop, ba-doo. Okay. Liz, what are we talking about today?
We're going to discuss the complex.
You're going to have to quit laughing. Come on.
We're going to discuss the complex intersection of personal values and personal finance.
Like a road intersection?
Mm-hmm. Just like that.
Okay. But like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of talk lately from me and others around me about
not just you,
voting.
like the world.
Yeah. I know, but I think I started to say it like, oh, a lot of people have been talking, and I'm like, also me. I'm one of those people.
Yeah,
about voting with your dollars and how voting with your dollars can make an impact. And sometimes it feels like, you know, I've just heard more people say lately, I don't agree with waves arms in the air, all of this.
Fill in the blank.
And I feel like helpless and powerless.
Yes.
And the way you spend your money, I think, for me, always feels like a way to sort of get some of my power back and feel like I'm making an impact.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to talk about.
Yeah. And I think a huge caveat that is worth sharing, and this is important for me to share. I mean, I think for all, I don't mean me specifically. I just mean it's important because anytime I have posted something even mildly political, mostly on like Instagram, or even actually said something in the podcast, right? We even like alluded to our political beliefs or something like that in a podcast. Did
you get emails when I said I think the government should pay for braces?
Oddly, I didn't get any replies to that comment, probably because most people agree. That's a bipartisan.
We can all get on.
We can all agree we don't want to pay for braces anymore.
Exactly.
But no, I do get some negative comments, which is kind of funny to me, first off, because most of the time I'm making a comment, it's not meant to be disparaging towards someone else. It's more meant to just mention something that I believe in. Mm-hmm. And I believe I can believe in something and someone else can believe in something different, and we can still be friends and we can still be kind people, you know, cohabitating this earth we live on. So I guess because of that, I just want to mention, like, this isn't meant to be a political discussion. This is not even us telling you where you should or shouldn't shop. This is meant to talk about ways that we can have more personal agency and that we can affect some of the things that we believe in, regardless of what it might be that we believe in. And I just think there's so much going on, particularly lately in the world, but shouldn't say lately. There's always something, right? There's always something. There's more things in the US lately, but there's always something globally going on. And everybody's going to have different beliefs on what they're for, what they're against. It's often quite nuanced. And I think those things just often, especially in a lot of discussions I have with my friends, again, make people often feel very like helpless and powerless of like I don't agree with what's happening, but I don't know what to do to impact it or change it outside of an election cycle, which isn't happening every day.
Mm-hmm.
And even that sometimes doesn't feel like, a direct correlation towards where we can or can't have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. We're not like what we're not going to do is say like, I'm not shopping here because they did this, because like, your most important cause might be the environment. Somebody else's might be like civil rights or freedom of speech or like child labor or animal rights, or there's just a million things in the world that you might care about. But like what you're saying, it can feel really hard to influence lawmakers. It can feel really hard to influence Congress, and it can feel so much more in your control to like control where your dollars are going, especially in the US. Like we are a consumer economy. Peggy, you put this in the show notes, but like, consumer spending is what drives the economy in the US. It's about 2/3 of our GDP. And you can have a much more immediate, not only impact, but also like even just the feeling like you're making an impact and feeling like you're doing something when you change where you spend your money. So
yeah, well, I'll be honest, I've not always been a firm believer that voting with your dollars can be meaningful. And let me clarify what I mean by that, right? I often think it's because for it to be meaningful, I think you need like a critical mass. And I've often always felt like, oh, well, like my personal decision isn't going to impact something at a large enough scale for it to matter because it's just me, right? And there needs to be enough me's to make it matter. And if I knew there were enough me's, I'd be more willing to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And I've, I know like you really had a focused effort last year to quit spending on Amazon. And I didn't, right? I have to go back and look at the numbers. I might have actually upped my Amazon spend in 2025.
It's okay. To your point, we can still be friends.
Well, and it wasn't on purpose, right? It was out of convenience. And we'll get into this. And I'm just going to put a pin in this, but I will say, let me be the first to recognize this is incredibly nuanced. And there are a lot of factors that can influence what is feasible for some people to do versus not at different life stages, in different financial positions, in different parts of the world where there's, access to certain things, easy access to be able to make these choices. And you have the means to go further away and have less convenient options and things like that. And so we'll get into all that nuance. We're going to save some of the nuance for a little bit later in the episode. But I think it's just worth recognizing that we get that there's nuance. And also the other thing is just to the point of me not always like believing that my dollars mattered or that I could vote with my dollars. I'll be honest, I've been influenced some lately by Scott Galloway. So Scott Galloway, he's a professor at NYU's Stern School of Business, but he's also like an entrepreneur and author. He's the host of Prof G and Pivot podcast. He also wrote a book, The Algebra of Wealth.
I know you really liked that one.
It is a really good book. I don't actually talk about that often, but it's like one of those books that I think all kids should read like right up in their 20s. But just to quote something, he's been talking about this a lot lately. And he said, the most radical act in a capitalistic society isn't marching, it's not spending. And I think some of the things he shared more specifically to that really have sort of at the right time hit me with a reminder that my spending can have, I can vote with my dollars, right? It's not that I didn't exactly believe in the concept. I didn't fully, right? I didn't fully like buy into it, if that makes sense, pun intended.
Well, welcome to the party. It's fun.
Yeah, thanks. I'm here.
Again, I think it can have, I think it can be both things. I think it can actually, I think it can absolutely like fully make a difference. And I think it can also make you feel like you're making a difference, which can go a long way towards like making you feel like you're taking a little bit of your power back when you feel very, very helpless when you look at the headlines. So
on that note, I lately, like in addition to kind of buying into this way of thinking more, I also have a sort of side quest of just being curious whether it works. Like I want to see it in action on a mass scale. And I think some of the recent happenings in the world might actually be like an impetus that pushes more people like me that were kind of on the fence and like on the sidelines to make some bolder decisions. But then selfishly also, look, if someone's like, look, we shouldn't spend any money for the month of February and we should like pull things back, I'm like, that's not a bad thing for people to do.
Yeah.
Right. So like worst case, even if to your point, even if it doesn't work, like you just save money and there's nothing from your individual personal finance perspective. There's nothing bad on you pulling back your spend during the month of February as an example.
I agree. I totally am with you on that. Okay. So we have some high level buckets that we want to talk about. One, we wanted to talk about like some concrete practical, if you're looking at whatever list of organizations or picking one or two that you don't want to shop at, some concrete steps to try to turn that from an idea of something you'd like to do into something that you've actually accomplished. And then we already started to meander over here, but we also wanted to talk a little bit about like the nuance, how this has shown up in our lives. Like, okay,
what we're struggling with, what's working. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Like this kind of choice makes sense for me. This is when it didn't, and just navigating that nuance. And then if we have time, we'll also talk a little bit about ESG investing, which is, I think, something you and I have both gotten questions about. And if you don't know what ESG investing is, you have to keep listening. We're not going to tell you until we get there. Haha. And maybe some apps that could be helpful too. Does that sound like a good plan? I was asking you. Okay.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I was on mute and I was...
Okay, that sounds good. Well, so in terms of concrete steps, I think I've always like dabbled in voting with my dollars. There have been certain restaurants, retailers, places that I know I personally will or will not spend money over the years based on their actions, and sometimes it's values, kind of high level ethical and moral thing. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I know the owner of that local coffee shop is actually a jerk and I don't want to spend there. I had a bad experience or whatever. But I got really serious, like Maggie alluded to. I decided last year for lots and lots of reasons, which I talked about on my own podcast, Liz Gets Loaded, if you're curious, but we don't have time to dive into it today. But I was really successful in cutting back on Amazon and Target spending. I cut our Amazon spending by 90%. I cut our Target spending by 98%. And like these were places I have spent a lot of money, and just kind of wanted to like run through some things that I think work really well. The biggest one, like the number one easiest thing, and it sounds so obvious, but it's just making a plan. And so what I did for those two specifically is I pulled up my spending from there, because of course they both have apps. I actually didn't know until, remember, Maggie, you and I did an episode where we like roasted each other's Amazon and Target spending. Mm-hmm. That was fun. That was a good one.
We'll have to put a link in the show notes to that.
Yeah, that was a really fun one. I didn't know that Target also tracks your in-store spending until we did that episode. So I was able to go on and look and say, okay, here's the places, here are the things that I have purchased from these places over the last year or so, and then think ahead, okay, where am I going to buy my vitamins? Where am I going to buy Spindrift? The next time I need paper towels or batteries, let me think, okay, there's a hardware store down the store. Okay, does Costco have this? And just thinking about it ahead of time versus waiting until...
That's actually a really important point. I didn't realize that's what you meant when you said making a plan. I thought you just meant like going and looking and saying, oh, I spent $10,000 at Amazon last year. I want to cut that by 80%. I love the concept of, because there's certain things I go to Target for. And there's probably like 5 things that are actually like critical that I would need to think very proactively, okay, where could I get those? And if I put a little bit of time and energy towards it, I could think of other places to get those products at.
Yeah. I mean, if there's, and we're just throwing out right, again, we're not saying you should not shop at Target or UPS, but I've seen some people say they're going to try to avoid FedEx or UPS. And if that's you, like the thing you can do today is go to USPS. Maybe you're going to use the postal service, figure out where's your closest post office. Okay, what kinds of things are you often shipping or mailing? What's the cost difference going to be? What's the packaging difference going to be? And if you think about it now versus waiting for the next time that you need to ship something, you're less likely to be like, oh, I want to make a different choice, but I really got to send this today and it has to get there tomorrow. So I'm just going to go do the thing that is easier and that I already know how to do.
Yeah. Can I ask what are some examples of where you shifted some of your Target spend to, like vitamins?
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I had been doing a lot of grocery shopping at Target. I actually love Target for groceries and I miss it. And the nice thing about Target is you can go because you can get your groceries at the same place, and then you can also get dog food, or if you need sunglasses, or you need to buy a fan or something at the same time, it's all there. I would say a lot of that, we just shifted almost all of our grocery spending to Costco. We became weekly or every other week Costco shoppers versus maybe once a month. I think a lot of people treat Costco or Sam's Club or something like that as more of an every once in a while.
So how far is Costco from your house?
It's not far. It's like 20 minutes.
Okay.
It's good.
No, that's not, I mean, no, I'm going to put a pin in that till we get to the nuance section. Because I would have said 20 minutes is far. So I like that you said like it's not far.
It's not. I don't think it's, I think I compare. There's actually one that's only 15 minutes, but I like the other one a little bit better, and it's 20 minutes. So I go to the one that's a little bit further.
I just looked up my Amazon and Target spending in Monarch for last year.
Well, I'm going to ask you. You put a pin in that because I got a dotted point later in this doc that I'm going to ask you about it again. Okay.
Got it. I'm writing them down.
The other, I mean, on that topic though of shifting things around, for me, a big thing was like subscribe and save because Amazon had made that so easy, and I ended up, vitamins were a big thing for me, and I ended up just buying the vitamins from the manufacturer, basically directly from the company rather than going through Amazon. And they also had a subscribe option. It was a little bit more annoying. Like I'm not saying that it's not annoying. Like it took me, probably 15 or 20 minutes to figure out where to buy it, to set up the new thing. And then we had way too much magnesium in the cabinet. We had 3 unopened things. And then, so I had to go in and change it. And I didn't remember where I had bought it from. Yeah. If it had been Amazon, I could have just gone into Amazon, skipped the next couple. So I had to go into my email, search for magnesium, like where am I even buying this? And then go to that website and then remember my login, which I didn't remember because, it's not a thing that I log into all the time, and then skip a couple. So it took 5 or 10 extra minutes. And I think that's what's hard about this is that there's 1,000 decisions. Am I willing to drive the extra 5 minutes? Am I willing to spend the extra time? It's 1,000 decisions. It's not one.
And I think it's fair to say, I'm just throwing out a random percentage that I just made up right now, but like 90% of the time, the concept of voting with your dollars is going to have some level of inconvenience attached to it. Exactly. It is going to take you more time. It might cost you more money. And some people don't have the time and money to give up, which we'll come back to when we talk about, the nuance. But I want to recognize, the privilege that we have of both of us being able to deal with the time and money aspect. Yeah. And I get that that's not feasible for everyone. And there's choices I've made that are related to the time and money that are why I haven't done certain things yet. But I think with that, you got to ask yourself, how frustrated are you about some other things that are happening to where you're willing to deal with the inconvenience? I've taken for granted a lot of things in this country up until this past week without getting into some specifics. And I feel, really safe. And I just appreciate a lot of things. And for the first time in my lifetime, I think is fair to say, minus like COVID, which was just like a different time where I felt at times scared of, an illness taking, people out in an unexpected way. But I, for the first time in my life, felt that I could be unsafe in my own country in ways that are like different than me just feeling like I could get like hit by a car or something, or robbed on the street, but that my own government might do something to me. Yeah,
that's a lot, and
which might have pushed me over the inconvenience hump, by the way, was my point.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Well, I think that goes, one of the other points I wanted to hit on that again falls under this heading of planning ahead. I think it's helpful sometimes to put some guardrails in place. One is like maybe you set some guardrails for how much more you might be willing to spend. Like maybe it's 10%, maybe it's $10. Maybe if there's something you wanted to buy from one retailer and instead you're going to try to go buy it from a local business, but it's twice as much, that doesn't mean you have to. Like, but if you, I think the point I'm trying to make before I just go too far down the rabbit hole.
Go for it.
The high level is, if you think about that ahead of time, you save yourself some mental anguish and some emotional labor and this, like the weight of having to make the decision at the time. And so I think, again, under this heading of planning ahead, one is, hey, look at what you've been buying. Where can you buy it somewhere else? Another component to that might be, okay, I'm going to set a limit. If it's more than 10% more than $10 more, I'm just going to buy it at the place I normally buy it. And another one is, I really like this idea, I forget where I read this, but put the try one more place rule into effect, where maybe, again, Meg, if you're trying to not shop, I'm just using it as an example, at Target, you say, okay, I'm going to check one more thing. I know you live right by a Walgreens. So maybe you're going to like, okay, is that a whole different thing?
I have very negative feelings about Walgreens.
Okay, but
it's because of their pricing. It's Liz just saw my eyes bulge when she said it. It's the amount of lectures I've given my kids about the prices at Walgreens versus Target. It's like literally like highway robbery.
Okay, maybe it's not Walgreens then, but
yeah, I
have a hardware store, for example, that's pretty close to me, and maybe I'm going to like check that hardware store and maybe one other place. And then, you know what, if they don't have it there, whatever, I'm just going to go to the
It doesn't try once.
You don't have to exhaust yourself.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Try once or twice. You don't have to try 10 times on every single thing. I think if you set those guidelines in your brain, if you set those riverbanks, if you set those guardrails, whatever those, what are they called in bowling? The bumpers. You set up some bumpers at the beginning.
Decide how much you're going to inflate those bumper lanes.
Exactly.
You know? Fully inflated, partially inflated.
How soft those bumpers are going to be. Then it just makes it easier as you try to navigate it later, because you're busy and you're trying to do a million things and you're trying to be a good citizen and you're trying to be a good parent and all the things at the same time. And just if you plan ahead, I think you're going to have better success.
Yeah. And this, we'll say this many times, but this to me is about progress over perfection, right? And so you just trying and feeling it out is the step, or is the path, I think.
Right.
The direction you want to go in.
And I think that's the point you were kind of thinking at the beginning. Maybe you look at your spending at a specific company from last year and you set a goal. Okay, I want to cut it 20%, 50%, 70%. Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, when I looked back, for me last year, it was Amazon and Target. Those were the places I was trying to cut back for a million reasons. And in the year, like in the moment, every time I ended up buying something from one of those stores, I was really kicking myself, and I was feeling disappointed in myself and annoyed at myself, and I was really letting it get to me. And when I got to the end of the year, and kudos to Maggie, because she makes us do this end of year spending recap, and I love doing an end of year look back at 2025. When I zoomed way out and I looked back and I was like, wow, 90% cut, 98% cut at one. I mean, I felt like I was flying. I felt like I was top of the world. Mm-hmm. But in the moment, every time I was annoyed. And I think I really learned a lesson last year, that zooming out, and again, that progress over perfection. If I had just given up halfway through the year because it was too hard to do it 100%, I wouldn't have had as much success as I had.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple other things practically. One idea is you could delete apps from your phone. So if it's a place that you're trying not to shop at, whether it's – I actually had to delete Lululemon from my Lululemon app from my phone. I don't know if I have that. Actually, some people do have issues with that company. I don't have any sort of stances about that company that I have an issue with. I just found myself browsing it way too often, and so I did have to delete that app from my phone. Yeah. I was trying not to shop on Amazon last year. I didn't delete it from my phone because I would actually use it still to search for products. Like if I needed something, I would kind of look it up there, look at reviews, and then maybe decide to buy it somewhere else. But if you think it could be helpful for you, deleting the app off of your phone could be.
I'd say along the same lines, unsubscribing. So like I don't have the Lululemon app on my phone, which is shocking, honestly. I just looked surprised not to see it. But I do get their emails, and I often notice, like sometimes I like want to open it and I'm like, no, I'm just going to delete
Don't even look.
But I should just unsubscribe. And Amazon, I noticed this probably like middle of last year. I kept getting these like recommendation emails from Amazon, and I was like, dude, I don't need recommendations. I got enough problems, right? And so you can unsubscribe to those specifically. So I unsubscribed to those, and I've been trying to unsubscribe to more emails lately, not just from a voting with my dollar standpoint, but also just from a not being tempted to buy crap I don't need standpoint. Which again, the secondary benefit to all of this
overlap
is
here.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. I mean, another thing on my list of kind of ways to successfully avoid places you're trying not to shop is to just try to buy things that are secondhand, which is
You are very good at this.
I've gotten better at it. Yeah. I've gotten way more into it recently in shopping secondhand, which is it's win-win-win, right? If you're trying to avoid shopping in a specific company, you can buy that thing secondhand, even if it was like manufactured by a company maybe or a retailer that you don't want to give your money to. Buying it secondhand is a way you get it without giving them your business. And it's the more frugal choice, and it's the more environmentally friendly choice. And, and there's just it's all good. And you might meet a neighbor, like you might make a friend, and it's cheaper. It's all good.
When you buy it secondhand, do you ask what their beliefs are prior to? I'm just messing with you. I was like, how far are you willing to go on this?
Exactly. I only buy from free range, organic, vegan Facebook Marketplace sellers. I mean, no. Anyways, okay. So my last point, when I was trying to think of, okay, how was I successful in this, and how do I think other people could be successful? And one is tracking it. And again, this goes back to the point I just made. At the end of the year, it was so satisfying to be able to look at it and say, oh, cool, this is awesome. This is how many times I avoided that place I didn't want to go, or this is how much I cut my spending by. So instead of in those moments when I was annoyed at myself for not being perfect or inconvenienced because I had to pay a little bit more or drive a little farther, I had the numbers that I had tracked so I could feel like really kind of proud and then like I had accomplished something. And I was thinking about two ways you could do that. Maggie and I, and every co-host on Inside Out Money, we love Monarch Money. And this is not an ad at all. We just say this for free. Do you know what? Can I just say for a second? I have listened to a few podcasts. So Monarch does sponsor some podcasts, and I've heard like ads or, hey, this podcast is sponsored by Monarch. I don't feel like they talk about it as much as we do.
Like free, they do the ad. Yeah, we talk about it for free.
Exactly. They do the ad and then you never hear them talk about it. But like I'm here to tell you about how I use Monarch to accomplish
We are the brand's ultimate dream in the sense that we naturally pepper it throughout all of our discussions in a contextual and relevant and like heartfelt way. Yeah. So anyways, her point is Monarch, you hit us up because we do vote with our dollars with you. We like you a lot.
We love you so much because
we love you so much that we don't even charge you for all this.
Exactly. For all this free, amazing publicity to our millions and millions of listeners. Tens of hundreds of listeners.
Tens of hundreds of thousands of listeners.
Okay. I think so if you use Monarch or use any kind of tool to track your spending though, you could create a tag. Like Monarch has a tag. You could create a tag that was like, this is something where I went somewhere else instead of the place I was trying not to go. Or you could make a tag that was like, here's the thing I bought secondhand, or here's a tag for like, it's just really easy to track it. Or, I've told you this before. They have this cash flow view that I love because you can see what you spent. I just clicked on it while you said that. Yeah, so that's how it's really easy for me to go in and say, oh, I spent, X at Costco last year and I really increased it this year. They just make it really, really easy. You don't have to run a report or export it or add it all up or anything. It just shows you that right in their application, and I love it. I love it so much.
So I just did this. Can we segue to the nuance section now and start with?
Yes. Now
we'll start with me sharing my Amazon spend. I didn't even share this in our expense review episode. I'm a little embarrassed to say this amount
I don't think you need to be embarrassed.
Multiple reasons. Well, just because I want less stuff in my life, and so like I'm embarrassed, not to anyone else, but like I'm just embarrassed. I don't even know how to articulate it.
I have and I've done a bunch of podcast episodes about this, but I have mixed feelings about Amazon. And I think there are a lot of really good reasons that people don't want to shop at Amazon. And I will say, in their defense, the two things that Amazon does really well, from my point of view, is one, they have put upward pressure on wages because they increased their minimum wage to, I forget what it was, but that caused other businesses to increase their wages. So they put upward pressure on wages. And they put downward pressure on prices. Like it's good for consumers.
Yeah.
They also have created, maybe there's 3 things. They've also created a platform. There are a lot of small businesses that put their products on Amazon, and they're able to get a lot of business that way. So
they're able to grow and get a mass market quickly. Yes.
They're able to use the platform. I'm not saying, like, there's also a lot of reasons not to like Amazon, but I'm just saying.
Can I add a 4th one?
Yes.
Can I add a 4th and 5th one?
Yes.
Look.
They bring stuff to your house so fast.
Okay, yeah. Look, I got kids that like pop up and at like 8:00 at night are like, I need XYZ. And they've named like random items, like it's a scavenger hunt of something they need for some school project or something. Like and I'm like, how long have you known about this? And, you know, I'm closed up shop for the night and they need it like, and I'm like, when do you need it by? They're like, oh, I need to take it to school tomorrow. And I'm like, great. So you need it by like 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I can go on Amazon and I can get something delivered between like 4 and 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
At like 8 p.m. the night before. And it's beautiful. And I love it. And on top of that, Liz and I were just talking as we were like logging in to record this episode. I was like, oh God, somehow Riverside logged me out. I was like, I have no idea how I logged into Riverside. If it was like with my Apple account, with my Google account, with a direct login, whatever, I hadn't saved it. And what I love about Amazon is their app and their customer service is actually like fantastic. And if I ever have an issue, the return process is seamless. Even when there's an issue with the return process and I deal with a chat agent, they assume good intent by me because I guess I haven't flagged for like fraud or whatever. And they always are just like right away. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll do, we'll do this. We'll do whatever. I changed the creatine I was using and I had ordered this thing of creatine a month ago, but it wasn't opened yet. And I went to return it. They took the return and then they were like, just keep it. So I just gave it away on the Buy Nothing group. It was making me gassy, by the way. That's why I didn't want it anymore.
Okay. Now I feel like we've gone from like, you were like, I'm embarrassed. Now we're like a free commercial for Amazon, which is not what I'm going
Well, okay.
for.
Well, here's the thing. That was just my point. That's the thing I have trouble with is like, now on the flip side, there's a lot of things I'm like a big fan of capitalism, but on the flip side, I don't love some of the things that are happening from a, economic standpoint in terms of things that I think, with the rich getting richer and just, we don't even need to get into it. I don't love that angle of things. My point is, let's bring this all back around to
how much did you spend on Amazon?
Guess how much I spent. That was what I was going to bring it to. Just guess.
I'm going to guess. Is it higher or lower than 5,000?
It is higher.
Okay. I
feel like you're trying to read my facial expression to guess.
No, like my first instinct was maybe like 6,000 something.
6, 7?
6, 7.
That's a good instinct. You should stay there.
Okay. All right.
Okay. $7,741.
Okay. I mean, that seems okay. Let me tell you about why
when I break that down monthly, that sounds like a lot.
That's fair.
And then can I confess what January's spend year to date so far is? And there's another day left in January.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me.
It's over indexing. It's $881. And I'm not even sure what's in that. Like, I think a lot of protein.
I mean, before I tried it, I think in 2024, our spending for a household of 2 people was 3,000 something. And that was not like kind of making a super big effort to not shop there, but it was still trying to be a little mindful. So that seemed, when you extrapolate out to 5, not adults, but adult-sized humans who live in your home.
Yeah. It is the one vendor I spent the most money with in 2025. The second one was Airbnb, and the third one was Allstate, which is like all my insurance products. Yeah. And then the fourth one was braces, Liz, which the government should pay for.
The government should pay for braces. Liz for president. Liz 2026. Okay. This is where I had a little bit of an aha moment when I was reviewing, because again, I love Monarch and it is my favorite. And I think it's fascinating that it gives you that view of, hey, here's where your dollars went, like by company. And when I saw that I had spent more at Amazon, which is a company I feel kind of meh about, I spent more at Amazon than I did at Costco, which is a company that I love, like a capital LOVE. Heart emoji.
You visited their corporate headquarters this year.
I
did.
One of the
highlights of your travel schedule.
I could not love a company more. Although I used to feel that way about Target. Anyways, that's when I was like, well, I'm clearly not voting with my dollars. Like, I'm not spending money at the company that I love.
Yeah.
I'm spending less there than I am at a company that I feel like kind of meh about. So
that's a good reminder. It also, back to the point of like, in a world where I often don't feel in control of everything happening, the idea of voting with your dollars, like the thing I do love about it is it gives you, it allows you to take back your agency.
Right.
And it reminds you have agency, not over everything. This is how I feel about, veganism, which I'm more of a vegetarian these days, but about just not eating meat even, right? Or driving EVs, right? There's certain things I have taken a stance on. And I'm not judging other people about it at all. But for me, it makes me feel good. And it makes me feel like I have some tiny amount of agency over what I am doing in the world, and everything from literally like physically what I'm putting out into the world to like the vibe I'm putting out.
Yeah. That's an interesting comparison, actually, because to tie back to something you were kind of thinking earlier, where sometimes it feels like if you stop spending at a store or you're not buying a specific thing, it's not going to make a difference. And I've definitely had that. I've also been a vegetarian for lots of reasons. One of them is related to animals. And again, I'm with you. Like, I don't judge it. Like, whatever. It's fine. I don't eat what you want.
My own kids eat stuff that I don't eat. Yeah.
And I'm the vegetarian too, that like, if it's going to get thrown away, I will eat it. We have,
even though your body is not a trash can, but whatever.
I know, but we have non-vegetarian stuff at work all the time, like salads, pizza. Like, there's just always food around that's going to get thrown away, and I'm like, well, I'll eat. I don't want it to get thrown away.
Yeah.
So I am I'm not that strict. But sorry, my actual point was that you were kind of saying, sometimes I don't want to change my spending habits because it feels like it's not going to make a difference. And I feel the same way. I'm like, okay, well, whether I eat this salad that's about to be thrown away or not, is it going to make a difference? Whether I, get the cheese pizza or choose the vegan option in one instance, feels like it's not going to make a difference. But there's still something to it.
Yeah. I think the biggest point, in case anyone's like having trouble following us, we're in the nuances
which is fair
right now.
It's totally fair.
But I think I think the point is absolute moral purity is not possible, especially in like our modern world and economy, right? And I don't want you could argue with me and say, yes, it's possible, but I'm just saying it feels impossible. I think, the spirit of don't let perfect be the enemy of the good, which we did a whole episode on, right, is what I'm going for. And, we can always strive to do more and better, and we can always test and learn. And I like what you said earlier, Liz, of like, try one other option and see how it feels and see what it costs and see how that's working for you. And start tracking things in Monarch. I think it's actually a fun idea to do a tag. You already can track things by merchant, but to do a tag of all the places where you've made an alternative option, where it's been like a thoughtful alternative option, to sort of almost have like a, positive spending category you're trying to track in 2026. Of this is where I am actively trying to vote with my dollars would be a fun tag to put on purchases. And
like small business, and then at the end of the year, you could say, I spent $5,000 at small businesses or something.
Yeah. Like I had this, it wasn't really a debate, but it was just like when Melissa drove with us, Melissa, who is traveling to retirement is her Instagram handle, but she drove with us to Camp Fi. And we were talking about something, and then she made a comment about Starbucks and unions and all this other stuff. And I was like, wait, so does that mean you don't want to stop at Starbucks on the way? Because I was literally just looking one up, Melissa. And she was like, you can stop, but I'm not. And I was like telling her my view on Starbucks and how I'm like, I often like, I love going into like a local coffee shop. And when Greg and I were doing our hikes last year, it felt like years ago, but in 2025, we visited every single Georgia State park. We visited all 48 Georgia State parks during the calendar year of 2025. It was fun. Lately, I've been like, I feel like I have some extra time. And I think that's why, because we're not like on this mission. So we visited a lot of like local coffee shops, which I like doing. And I'm not like, I don't mean to like knock certain small towns in Georgia, but I gotta be honest, a lot of them were crap. Just not good coffee / mixed drink. They were just like really sugary. And my point is, like, you don't know what you're going to get. So it's like, I like the idea. I almost literally would have rather just given them like a donation and then gone to Starbucks to get a drink that I know is consistently made. And so the thing I like about Starbucks is I know what I'm going to get. It's going to be the way I want it, and it tastes nice. And I love a good like local coffee shop. And when I'm in a bigger city, the quality is often significantly better.
Mm.
No offense to like small town Georgia. I appreciate that they're trying, but some of them were like really terrible.
I can relate to that. I have had similar feelings in bookstores. Like I don't actually want to buy a book because I read all of my books from the library and I like digital books. I like ebooks more than I like paper books anyways.
Yeah.
But I always like when I try to go into a bookstore, I feel like I want to buy a bookmark or I want to buy, if they have a coffee shop, a lot of bookshops have coffee shops in them, or a notebook or some thank you notes or a pen or something. Cause I almost just want to just leave $5. Like, thank you for letting me come in and walk around. I think you're adding ambiance to this neighborhood. I want to support what you're doing, but I don't want a book.
That is where I will buy a book because a book's a book. It's the same book at that local shop as it is if you bought it from Amazon. But like with coffee, it's not. Anyways, let me give you one of my other nuance examples. And then we don't have to keep sharing all these. My point is I want to make you guys feel better that we're not like preaching some sort of perfection to you. But do you remember when Elon got all cozy with our current president?
I do remember that.
Everybody was like embarrassed to drive a Tesla, selling their Teslas. A lot of celebrities were selling their Teslas and like, you know, advertising it. And I was like, cool, you're a celebrity. You can afford to take a loss on that. But like me selling my Tesla, it's a sunk cost for me. It would have hurt me way more than it hurt Elon or the company or the stock price or anything else. And I also still believe in the like environmental impact of EVs and that Tesla is one of the most like beautifully designed and engineered EVs. I did not like a lot of the CEO's behavior.
Yeah.
Do you not agree with me on like?
No, I just made a face because I think my Audi EV is like way nicer than a Tesla.
I'm sure it's great, but have you like driven a Tesla for long periods of time with?
I mean, I've been in Teslas.
Okay. Well, anyways,
I don't know.
This is a good example. We don't have to agree, right? But my point is,
Maggie,
we can still be friends, right? But my point is, I love my Tesla, and when everybody was like putting stickers on it, that was like I bought it before Elon went crazy. It was just all sorts of like things.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Or my favorite one was like I identify as a Prius. Something like that. That was a funny one. Some of them were funny.
I didn't see that. That's really funny.
I don't really like putting stickers on my car, so anyways, but I was probably like, you know, rationalizing something I want to keep. But the reality is my belief was me selling that car hurt me way more than it hurt the person I was trying to like stick it to. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not striving for perfection here. Right. I'm striving to like feel good about myself and sleep well at night. And like, I felt good about, you know, we have 2 Teslas in our household and I felt fine about that. I didn't, you know, I wished it was a different situation, but at the same time, I wasn't going to do what many celebrities were doing, which was like, you know, they could sell off their Tesla and like buy a Rivian tomorrow. And it was like, you know, no sweat off their back. I just think I like to give these examples of like, it's nuanced, right? And I don't think, you know, I'm personally not striving for perfection, but I am striving, I will say in 2026, I am striving to do more than I've done in the past. Best case, it actually has an impact. Worst case, it doesn't, but I've spent less money because I'm pulling back some of my spending and I've shifted my spending to other places. And it's an interesting experiment.
It's completely, it is so nuanced. There's so many moving pieces to it. I mean, one of the reasons I initially was trying to pull back on Amazon spending, there's lots of reasons, but one of them for me was I just felt like I had made them my default for everything, especially in early pandemic days. And I want there to be more than one place to buy batteries. Like I think
Costco is a fantastic place to buy batteries.
I think so, but I didn't want that to be the only place. And so exactly what you said, I was just spreading dollars around. And I'll say too, you know, a place where I felt like I was trying, but not like 100% there was I was super jazzed that we successfully cut back our Amazon spending a lot. I didn't even try to cut our Whole Food spending. Like it didn't even I didn't even try one little bit because one, we're not even shopping there that much anyways. And when we are, it's usually just like, it's the most convenient thing, or it's the only place that has this one thing that we want, or whatever. And like in a perfect world, sure, I would only eat raw, organic, vegan food that I grew myself in my backyard. But in the real world, you have to have priorities.
Yes, I agree.
You know what? Actually, can I go back to the example too that you were talking about driving a Tesla?
Yeah.
Listen, let me be really honest. It's not even, just as a quick aside, it's not even that like Elon Musk became very cozy with our current president. Like he had a government job and he was doing it very poorly. Like you can't just fire a bunch of people with no plan. That's I think we can all, that feels.
Well, he had a plan. He asked everybody to document what they were doing with their day.
Yeah.
Seemed like a solid plan.
In that moment when there was a lot of anti-Tesla sentiment, I remember thinking, oh, I'm really happy I don't drive a Tesla. First of all, I love my car. I drive an Audi e-tron, and she is chef's kiss.
Her name is Carmen Electra, right?
Her name is Carmen Electra, and she's the very best car in the whole world. And
in your opinion?
Is this
like saying she's your favorite child? Wait, finish your point, and then I have a question about Carmen Electra.
It might have even been you or Greg, or somehow the point got planted in my head of like, oh, well, do you know how the CEO of Audi feels about anything? And I was like, nope.
That was probably me or Greg. That's
no
my favorite
idea.
retort back to.
No, to be clear, I was not hassling you about owning a Tesla.
Well, that was my favorite retort back to like when people was boycotting Chick-fil-A, like, which many still are, but I just was like, I'm not anti that. I'm just saying, if you're gonna be that strong about something, like in this case, this was an example with Chick-fil-A and a friend. All I wanted to say was, cool. Every other fast food place that you do go to, do you know what their beliefs are? Because you just happen to know what this company's beliefs are because it's been publicized. Mm-hmm. But before you get on like your high horse, perhaps you should look at everybody else's. That wasn't a comment towards you. That was a comment towards someone else. But okay. I got a question.
Okay.
If Elon, that example of Elon, I don't know. Let's see. Hold on real quick. The CEO of Audi is Gernot Döllner.
Okay.
Did you know that?
I did not.
I just looked that up. I tried to put a little bit of like a something on that umlaut. Okay. It didn't probably come out well. If he had been in Elon's position and like doing all the funny stuff he was doing, would you have rationalized your way into that you still kept that car and were fine with it? I know that's hard to like imagine.
Yeah, that's I would have considered switching to something else. But I think I would have followed a lot of the same logic that you were talking about. Okay, well, what is it going to cost me to switch? Do I feel like it's worth it? Is there another product that's going to meet my needs in the same way?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I have a friend. I mean, it's not only celebrity. I have a good friend who traded it. She actually traded in her Tesla for an Audi. EV.
Nice.
That's why we're friends. No, I'm just kidding.
I wonder if
I would have thought about it. I don't know if I would have actually done it or not. What did you say? Sorry.
I was just wondering if like in Georgia, there's a one-time like lifetime ad valorem tax when you buy a car. Mm-hmm. So you're like extra penalized by switching cars frequently.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like, that's like thousands of dollars. It's like, $5,000 to $10,000 sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
When you buy a car. Because you're paying the lifetime ad valorem tax all up front.
Oh.
It's 3% of the cost of the car. So if you're buying let me do that math. I don't want to make sure.
Well, so for a $50,000 car, that'd be like $1,500.
Wait, that's not right. It's higher than 3%. Wait, let me look it up. Sorry, it's 7%. It's 7% is the amount.
$1,000 car would be $3,500. That's significant.
Yeah, it's high, right? So it's just that is like another. But again, I'm like, technically, I don't know. Our point is this is nuanced.
Okay, let's say. I'm going to turn it around. J'accuse. Let's say you needed a new car. Let's say your car like got totaled or something. Knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Or it died.
Actually, my car is going to the shop next week, and they might.
Yeah. Let's say they come back and they say something's broken. It's going to cost $1 million to fix it, and you had to go buy a new car. Would you take into account? You're making
Elon
you look stressed.
Elon has pulled back his role in the government, so I don't have to make that decision now. He's been absolved of all his sins because he's
Okay.
not doing it anymore.
Okay.
That was like a joking comment.
I was like, okay.
But look, I gotta say, I really love. To me, the pros of Tesla outweigh the cons, and so I like believe in what Tesla's doing. Whether I like it, I like what they're doing. It has been the most amazing car experience I have ever had in my entire life.
Whoa.
And I say that as not a car person. I would struggle to switch back to a different car.
Yeah, they really accelerated. I mean, to their credit, they really accelerated the
EV market and the charging availabilities. And they've made other EVs more feasible with like opening up their charging network and how quickly they were able to.
Would you look around at other cars?
I would. I'd do some test drives. Sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think when you say, do you know, if you don't want to eat at Chick-fil-A, do you know how every other fast food organization has, contributed their charitable dollars?
Yeah.
We're friends and we're having a conversation. But I think our actual point is that nobody expects you to do that. And
yes, and it shouldn't matter, right? If you choose to not eat at a place because, like, at the time, Chick-fil-A was like anti-LGBTQ and had funded a lot of groups that were, anti. And I think they have different leadership in place now and are somewhat an evolving company. I don't really know. I'm not following them, but yes, you're right. I just more sometimes like when people would say that, sometimes my response was like, well, have we looked at everything else? But I agree. It doesn't matter. This is personal, right? This is I love when, it's a cliche term, but when people are like personal finance, the word personal is in there for a reason, but it is. Right. And so you don't need to justify your decisions to anybody else but yourself. And you need to feel good about what you're doing. And you need to, and I've expressed that like I'm at times very conflicted about what to do and on the time, money, convenience continuum, trying to kind of decide what makes the most sense. But I like a lot of the things that you pointed out, Liz, in terms of like, exploring one alternative and seeing what that might look like and feel like and costs and everything else. And even just rethinking, like I often make the reference of like Sam's is literally 3 minutes from my house. And we go through a lot of produce in my house. And Costco is a 20-minute drive, every bit of 20 minutes. And it's way more 20 crowded.
Minutes. Like it might every be bit 21. Of 20 minutes. It's not 17. It's like
it might be 25. It's okay. 20 minutes best case. Gotcha. And then it's like really hard to park at. So add a few minutes for that. Okay. And it's incredibly crowded compared to Sam's. And so, but at the same time, I can deal with those things. I haven't been willing to. I do shop at both, but like we do more like quick stuff at Sam's because it's 3 minutes away, and they have store pickup, and they have like a scan and go app. They've got some great
Costco
features.
Costco had like curbside pickup, I would just be so happy.
You'd love them more than you already do.
I would love them more than I already do. Although I also kind of like going in and walking around, to be honest.
Yeah, I get tempted. Okay, I don't even know if we're going to be able to talk about ESG investing, but I think we could do it quick. I think we could give it a smattering of just a little like aperitif.
Can I just put a point on what we were talking about in the like, are you going to shop here? Do you know everything? I actually think the point that you and I probably both want to make is focusing more on what you can do, right? Like
we may never know everything.
I'm not going to research the views of like every CEO or like the policy of every corporation that I'm ever going to buy from. I'm not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. It's impossible. And I don't know, if your friend says, hey, I'm not shopping at this place, a better reaction is like, cool, good for you, versus, well, did you know? Oh, you're vegetarian, but do you ever wear leather shoes? Like, oh, okay, you're not shopping at, Chick-fil-A. Do you ever? Or
even people that are like, oh, you're fire, but like you're doing something that you did a coaching call. I'm always like, yeah, it's not like black, whatever.
I would, make the circle bigger, like applaud people for trying to do their best.
Yes.
And progress over perfection. And it's all, if we all just threw our hands up in the air because it was impossible to shop perfectly, like nobody would ever make any value-based choice about spending ever.
Also, like, comparison is the thief of joy. Focus on yourself. You don't need to be overly focus on what everyone else is doing. Just focus on you and how you feel and what you want to do. And you may agree with a few things we said. You may disagree with a few things we said. And that's fine. That's why we're having these discussions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you, I think I've heard you answer this question before, but how do you feel about ESG investing?
Well, first off, you said you teased the acronym. Right. You said you were gonna. So if you've made it an hour in to now hear what the acronym ESG is, which isn't even what everybody calls it, but go ahead, it's the official term. I think.
What else do people call it?
Some people just use. Wait, just say what it is first.
Oh, sorry, environmental and social governance, which is just a big umbrella for sort of do-gooderness in general.
Yeah. There are certain types of index funds and other things that are marketed and touted as like socially responsible, environmentally responsible, et cetera, which is what like the ESG stands for, environmental, social, and governance. And Erica, I remember like very early on to this podcast, even on Friends on Fire, actually, I think was asking for like my thoughts on it. We talked about it in a number of episodes. And I think we actually did some episode. Oh, Erica came on Friends on Fire before she was ever an official co-host on Inside Out Money. That's how I knew she'd work on this, you know? And
that was the audition. She didn't even know.
She didn't even know. Same for you, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Remember, you came on Friends on Fire.
Yeah.
Did you more than once or just once?
Just once. How did you audition Andrew? How did you know he was going to be
I just know we would have offline conversations about money. We had private conversations. I never invited him on the podcast.
Okay.
So my belief on these is that they are primarily a marketing ploy, and they come with higher fees, often lower performance, but not always. And the bar that is set for what a company has to do to be included in these funds, the sort of standard that's set, is often actually quite low. And I know companies that are in these, I've even worked for some of them that are in them where, you know, they tick enough boxes that they're doing something, but they're not like an extra environmentally friendly company or they're, you know, and so it to me is more of it makes you feel good. Like you feel like you're doing something good by investing in that. But I am not personally willing to take a financial hit. This is tough because as I even say this, I'm like, oh, this sounds terrible. But like my entire ability to early retire is heavily based on the stock market performance. And for me to not participate and get the average returns that the market is getting, which I'm getting by participating in just a regular index fund like VTI, if all my money was invested in ESG funds, I might need to go back to work. I'll put it that way, right? And so for me to take a bigger hit.
Okay, let me pause you there for a second because I want to say.
Do you think that's an exaggerative statement?
No. I don't think you're trying to say that ESG funds that companies that are trying to do good will necessarily underperform companies that are not. Like you don't know for sure that you're giving up. You're just not willing to risk that that could happen.
Well, many of the ones that I saw marketed earlier had significant underperformance versus a total market index fund. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Well, I've also seen some that outperform. So like anything, it's a different, you feel very strongly about like full diversification across the entire US market. And you're not interested in focusing in any way, whether it's like ESG related or a certain industry or anything, because that doesn't align with your investing strategy.
Yeah. And I'd say the fact that they come with significantly higher fees.
Yeah.
And often many of the same companies, but marketed in a certain way, makes me feel like not all of them, but many of them are more trying to play to people's emotions and market to people's do-gooder intentions.
Right.
And they're not actually doing significantly better. They're not companies that truly are do-gooder companies.
They're not like secret stocks that the rest of us can't buy or something. They're already available, like they're already in funding.
Yeah, and the bar is quite low to make it into some of those funds.
There's ESG washing, kind of like, you remember the term greenwashing?
Yeah, totally.
Something would pretend to be environmentally friendly, but it was actually just plastic or whatever. And so I think there's ESG washing. I think there's interestingly, I think. I am with you in that this is not something I'm super interested in, but I have different reasons that I'm not interested in it.
Yeah. What are your reasons?
The biggest one for me, honestly, is that which is related to what you're saying, this like low bar. And I think it's just really hard to select a fund or even on your own to select companies that invest in that like fully align with your values. Because what's most important to you, you might say, I don't know weapons. It might be no fossil fuels. It might be no private prisons. It might be that they have ethical environmental practices. It might be that they treat their employees well. It might be the diversity of their board or their executive team. And to find companies that line up with all of the things that are important to you, I think it's almost impossible. And I just kind of don't want to wade into it. And I'm also not sure it makes an actual meaningful difference.
Yeah. I also, to add, and this would be like Andrew's point of view if I had to guess, even though I think we maybe discussed it once with him. But I'm not trying to complicate the amount of decisions I need to make from an investing standpoint. I am committed to like, VTI and chill or VTSAX and chill or mix in some international funds, which I know you do, Liz.
Yeah.
I'm committed to that. I don't want to think about it. And so this is a like new thought that I have to decide like, oh, do I want to do this? What percentage do I want to put in here? Like, I'm not touching my investments. And so
I think you would, I want to challenge you because I think that you would think about it if you thought that it would make a meaningful difference in the world.
In the world?
Yeah.
If I thought that there was some sort of mass commitment to doing something, and this is where I have like trouble putting words around, like if everybody else is going to take a hit on their portfolio, let's say we agreed there is a hit, because the data actually does suggest it's like the returns are trailing, like maybe by 1% on average. Okay. But
we can assume that just for like the thought experiment.
Yeah,
like
let's just assume it.
Like if you thought that moving your investments into a portfolio where you would have a 1% hit on returns, but you thought it would make like a meaningful difference,
if I think it would make, well, that's why I like suggest meaningful difference. If everybody else is going to do it, and everybody is define everybody, but like if no one else is going to take the 1% hit, if I am over here like on my, falling on the sword for my 1% loss and nobody else is, I'd be like, well, that's not fair. Like, why am I taking a hit and everybody else gets to reap the profits? Okay. So that's where I fall into a little bit of like the masses there of like, you know what I mean?
I think you make a fair point that a lot of efforts like this are more impactful when people do them together. Like if there's one person, quote unquote, boycotting a store, it's probably not going to change their behavior. It's probably not going to have an impact.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, okay, hang on. I have two thoughts.
Okay.
One, I think that there are people who might be like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I am all the way in on ESG investing, I think that there are lots of reasons to be like that. I think you might just be someone who like sleeps better at night knowing that you didn't profit from businesses that you don't support or you don't agree with. I think that's like,
and I can respect that.
100%, totally valid way to feel. My actual thing is that when you're purchasing shares on a public market, like usually you're not actually directly giving money to the business anyways. Like if I, want to buy a share of Monsanto or like Halliburton, like I'm not knocking on their door and saying like, hello, I would like to buy one share of stock. Like Maggie, you already own it. You're another investor. Like I'm essentially buying it from you. Like I am buying it from another investor who's already purchased it. So I don't actually think it has a huge amount of impact.
Yeah.
But there are some businesses, and this is what we've been saying for an hour. It's nuanced. It depends on your feeling. There's a lot of things. There are some places where I'm like, I will never give that company another dime of my money. Like, I don't care if anybody else is doing it. I don't care. And if I thought that like me moving my investments around meant that like they would have like $1 less of money overall, there are some things I would do it for. Some things I wouldn't, I guess.
I mean, I will say, because I have this view of like, I'm willing to make changes if enough other people are to where it actually has an impact on things.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, I have been inspired by some of the things that Scott Galloway has been saying in the last couple weeks. which is around the power that we actually could have. And I know you gave that stat at the very beginning, Liz, that like 68, or I think you said 2/3, but 68% of the US GDP is made up by consumer spending.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And one of the things that Scott Galloway said is the most radical act in a capitalistic society isn't marching, it's not spending. And he goes into more detail to say what would have an impact. And he's basically calling for a month-long strike on consumer spending, right? And he even says, like, as Heather Cox Richardson and other historians note, there are many ways to make a difference in dark times. I'm paraphrasing here, blah, 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 blah. The best tool we have to push CEOs to take on the president and prevent further erosion of the American brand is in our pockets. An economic strike that builds on calls for Apple boycotts that are already starting to emerge. Real change always comes from the American people, not from our political parties. But power doesn't fear protest nearly as much as economic withdrawals. Getting off your couch, taking to the streets, and building community is important, but the most radical act in a capitalistic society isn't marching, it's not spending. He's actually asking, you say the best strategy is to opt out. We're asking for you to join a month-long national economic strike, a coordinated campaign that targets tech and AI companies and inflicts maximum damage with minimum impact on consumers. And I will say, like, a call to action like that does give me some like rally cry where I'm like, okay, I'm willing to try this. And back to the point I've made multiple times, worst case, I already think it couldn't, we just did the expense review episode, like couldn't hurt for us to reduce our spending overall as a family.
Right.
And so worst case, the side effect is we have reduced our spending. And I think it's a fascinating experiment to see if this actually can have an impact and change some of the things that are currently happening in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say that. I'll just leave it there. Like, that's where I end. That's just where I'm at. For anyone who cares what Maggie's thinking lately, I'm still going to drive my Tesla.
I care.
But I am going to pull back and I'm going to see what I can do throughout the month of February.
I'm so curious to see how, I mean, is that the kind of thing that's going to get traction?
Yeah. Well, his point is we talk about it and it will if people pass it along.
You're right. Well, that's exactly what I was going to say is that if you, it's a little bit of is a catch-22 the right term? It's like, oh, well, I don't want to do it if other people aren't doing it, but other people aren't going to do it unless we gotta start somewhere. Right. Right.
So I like to think it starts here on this podcast, Liz.
All right. So if there's a huge boycott.
Well, you're like, we're participating in a boycott today, right? Like a national.
We're going to take credit. Yeah, we are. Yeah. Maggie and I sat down. So today is January 30th when we are recording this, which there was a call for a national strike today, which I think looked a little bit different depending on where people are sitting in the world. And we debated if we should even record this today, if that counted as striking. But we decided since we actually don't earn any revenue from this podcast.
This isn't work. Technically, this is a hobby. I think we're still
just hanging out and recording it.
I think we're still allowed to participate in our hobbies. If anything, we're helping the cause today.
Yeah,
but Scott Galloway's other point was one day won't make a difference. A month will make a difference. And I'm not saying one day we can't make any difference. I think he's saying it won't make a lasting difference. It's an interesting test.
I think that's interesting. There was, I think that's not like an invalid point. And at the same time, it sends a signal, right? If a lot of people don't do something on one day, it's like, yeah, we all agreed to do this for one day. So like, get your act together or we're going to do this for more days.
Which is his point. He specifically says a one-day slowdown is irritating. A 1 month slump is terrifying.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think you're right. We can show the power of the people in one day, but to actually show we're willing to do it for more than one day is where it actually has a meaningful impact on the markets. And there are some people where the markets rule all, and that's where they'll actually start listening. Okay.
Well, I'm down. Just tell.
So here's so I got to see. Yeah, one day at a time.
I'm putting the game on easy mode over here too. I mean, and I've said that And I've said that I say that like once a week, but
how are you playing it on easy mode though? Remind me.
Because I don't have kids and I just have like a very simple life. And so, when I've talked to people about, there's always something, right? It's like, oh, we're not doing Amazon. We're not doing Target. We're not doing Disney. We're not doing Hulu. We're not doing, like, there's something that you're supposed to be canceling because that's the thing that's sending the message. And I like to participate in those when I can and when it makes sense. And I think I often will hear other people say, oh, this is the only thing in my town, or, I've got these kids, or I don't have another place to go. And I'm like, I live in a big city and I don't have kids. And like, my life is very simple. So like, if we're not shopping somewhere, like I'm in. My life is easy. I can do it. Let me do it because it's not hard for me. And if it is hard for you, like that's fine. Right?
Yes. And like, look, I'm in the middle of a season of Pitt right now on HBO, which I access through Hulu. So we all got to make decisions about what's right.
Exactly. I haven't watched that show, but I keep hearing it's so good.
It's really good. And back to Melissa, who actually has worked in like an ICU before. I have heard from so many medical professionals, including a friend of mine who's a ritired ER doctor, that is like realistic. The only show that is realistic. It is the most realistic medical show they've ever seen.
Okay.
It like stresses me. It stresses us out too to watch. We're like, it's like every episode's an hour in the ER.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that felt like 2 months, but that was like one day.
That makes me really nervous. I don't want.
It's good though.
Okay.
It's good. It's very graphic. Okay, you wrap us up, okay?
We could, I'll do it. I could talk about this forever because if you think, money and value, that's what this
put
podcast
your money
is
where your
about.
mouth
That
is.
is what your life is about, how you're spending your money, your energy, your time, your life force. Like this is it. This is all we're doing. But I think we have done it. I think for today.
We tend to do it and like it's well done, We've never had, what do you call it when meat is like rare? We've never done it medium rare.
You're asking these two vegetarians.
It's always well done. A little burnt and crispy,
crispy cookies, not the cookies that are still soft on the inside.
Yeah, right. It's not gooey on the inside,
I know. I like my cookies medium rare, personally.
Hey, I have some good quotes to leave us with. I was looking for some quotes of like, put your money where your mouth is.
Okay. Yeah.
Every time you spend money, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want.
Heck yeah.
The most powerful tool you have to change the world is your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Money is a vote. Use it to elect the future you want to live in. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me what you value. Mm-hmm. Show me your budget and I'll tell you what you value.
Yeah, I like
Joe
that
Biden
one.
said that.
You've heard me say that one before.
And then you got Ralph Waldo Emerson. Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying.
That's a really good one.
And then you got good old Ben Franklin said, wealth is not his that has it, but his that enjoys it and uses it. I'm not sure that totally applies.
I'm not sure that one.
About.
I think we did it.
I think we did it. Right. Oh, how about we'll wrap on this one. Put your assets where your aspirations are.
Okay.
That threw the word ass in there twice.
I got it.
Okay. We're going to...
It didn't slip past me.
Guys, yeah. Thanks for listening. We know... It might not seem like we know your time is limited and valuable, but we do.
We just wanted to hang out with you. We wanted to make sure you got all the way home with company.
I'll put it this way. We hear more good feedback about the Liz and Maggie long episodes than we do negative. Yeah. I hear most people say like, I enjoyed that. I'm laughing along with you guys. And I feel like I just like chatted with friends.
Right.
For an hour and a half.
We're just with whatever you're doing. You're walking with a coffee. We're there too.
You're riding the Peloton. Whatever
we're there
you're doing.
Too. Exactly. You're in the car on a long commute. We're there with you.
You're researching new ways to buy your vitamins. We're with you.
Exactly. We just wanted to make sure you weren't lonely. That's all.
New places to find your protein from, which I'm about to be doing. Okay. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We really appreciate it. You're like in the background saying something about Costco.
Remember that SNL skit that was like, hell yeah, my mom went to Costco.
No. Were they like excited? There were fresh snacks in the house?
Yeah, exactly. I'll send it to you. Wait. Anyways, you should also subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Hit the subscribe button, because you can vote with not with your dollars, but with your
subscribe button.
Exactly. That's it. If you have any thoughts or questions or comments, like a nice comment, you can we'd love to hear from you, and you can leave a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370, or hit us up on Instagram. You can find Maggie.
You can find Liz at Liz Gets Loaded.
Mm-hmm. You can find Maggie at Inside Out Money. I've done bajillion million episodes of Liz Gets Loaded, my podcast lately. Several of them about, actually, one of my most popular.
You did one about boycotting, right?
Yeah, I just did one of it was like how to boycott, or like I think it was called How to Boycott a Store. And then I also did one earlier this month. So I'm doing 31 Days of Podcasting, which is an episode every day in January, reflecting on 2025. And one of the most popular episodes of the series was I recapped like Amazon, Costco, and Target spending and how they changed, and voting with your dollars. And that was the people liked it. The people liked it.
Will you put some links to those in the show notes? Will you give me some links to those in the show notes too?
I will. I'll do it right now.
Okay. Well, we did it. The cookies are crispy, they're burnt on the edges, but soak them in a glass of soy milk and they'll taste delicious.
So good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
That was fun.
Yeah. I will. Yeah. Bye, Liz.
All right. Bye, Maggie. Talk to you later.
See you later.
Round and round, round.
That's not the ending song anymore, but keep going.
I know. Is there an ending song?
We don't even need any ending music now. Yeah, it's like dun, 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 dun. That's not it, but I don't remember.
It's just a little guitar sound, right?
It's just a little
kind of like the beginning. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
I was gonna listen to it real quick to remember what it sounds like.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.